Hey guys, I just wanted to say thank you for using my creator code whenever you purchase any Sims 4 DLC on the EA app or thesims.com. I receive a 5% commission each time you use my code, which means you're directly supporting me as a creator. I know there are a lot of codes floating around out there, so I am very grateful that you've chosen me to support in this way. Thank you so much. Hey guys, it is MissSimReno. If you are returning to the channel, welcome back. And if you're brand new, I am very excited that you decided to join me here today for another speed build. And we are still, I'll say still, because this is what, the third or fourth build that I've done with the new expansion pack, Enchanted by Nature. And I'm really excited about this one. I say that about every build. I know, I was excited about my Hobbit hole. Okay, that was freaking cool. I enjoyed that. But this one I'm really excited about because it is a family home. I used a lot of like curved roofs to make it look very whimsical and magical and honestly kind of creepy because this ends up being like a dark, swampy family home. And I really like how it came out. I'm not a huge fan of purple. It's not a color that I really enjoy, but for this build, I use a lot of the new items in the purple swatches and the black swatches because it's a beautiful combination. And it's very kind of like mystical and magical. I use a lot of stuff from like the Paranormal Stuff Pack and Realm of Magic and what else? Oh, and Life and Death, because a lot of that stuff fit too. So I'm really excited about this one. We're building on the watering hole lot, which I believe used to just literally have a pond and maybe a place for your Sims to sleep. That could be inaccurate. I don't remember, but it's a really nice, I think it's supposed to be, was it a park? No, there's no way. It didn't meet the criteria for a park. Was it actually a residential lot? I don't remember, but it was one of the default lots that shipped with Innisgreen in the new expansion, and I bulldozed it and I decided to build this. The lighting is rough. It's a little bit rough. So what I do for a majority of this build is I do flip it backwards because the lighting looked a lot better. But when you place it down in the world, I would recommend placing it the appropriate way. That's just my recommendation. But obviously you could tell because this is a newer, more recent build, I did do this quite recently. A lot of my builds, if you didn't know, have been actually pre-recorded. A lot of my videos lately, especially like the 100 baby challenge and some other builds and whatnot, because as many of you probably already know, I am on maternity leave because I had my baby and I decided to give myself a lot of time to just kind of get to know them and adjust to parenthood and everything. But when the new expansion came out, I have surprisingly been able to find time to do a handful of builds with it, and I'm really enjoying myself. So I'm trying to share them in a timely manner so you all can actually enjoy them since the pack just came out. I don't even know. When did this pack come out? The 17th of July, and I think this is going up maybe in August. So super timely, but it's better than like October, which I have videos scheduled out to. I know that's kind of insane behavior, but we're here. I did it. But anyway, the shape of this house has come together at this point. It pretty much is the shape of like any standard home that I would build, but I did add a little tower as well, just to add a little bit of that mystical, magical element to it. But I think the curved roofs really make a difference. And then, I've mentioned this before in other builds, the roof plants, honestly, they can do one. They're not great. And since all of these roofs are curved, I could barely place plants up on the roofs. But what I did, this is technically a roof plant with Enchanted by Nature. You can place them anywhere, but I sized it up and made it look like it was growing up the side of the build. I thought it looked so cool. It looked like the plants were just kind of spilling from the roof. And I've done this before. It was a build years and years ago. It didn't look exactly like this where it kind of has that spilling look to it, but I've used, I think it's Alt-9. Can't remember if it's ever Control-9 or Alt-9, whatever. It's how you can like freely place things and, raise them using those keys or lower them. And I think it was like a lavender cottage or something I did. And I put like rose bushes, I think, up the side of a build. I haven't done this in a really long time. So I was just really stoked with how it ended up looking, especially with this particular plant. It just worked really well. And guys, I used a rounded room. I have not, I don't believe once have I used the rounded walls or rounded rooms in The Sims 4 since we got them. I'm fairly certain I haven't. No, I am very confident that I have not, because they were honestly a little bit difficult to use when we first got them, and I still find them hard to use, but it's that little bump out there on the right. That is a rounded room, and I just thought it added a little bit more of a mystical element to the exterior. But now we're doing some terrain manipulation as well, because as you can tell by the title of this video, this is a swampy house. This is a very swampy house. The first thing that that my husband said, because I showed him this build, I was like, look, isn't it so cool, mystical, magical? And he's like, I love it. I think the basement, if that house had a basement, it would be a nightmare. I'd be so worried about water getting in. And I was like, why do you have to apply real things to mystical, magical Sims 4 builds? Why do you do this? Because yeah, that would actually be a nightmare. But yeah, the swamp is coming together at this point. And in my last build with this pack, I mentioned that I had started the build trying to build Trek Swamp. This was giving me a little bit of a glimpse into some of the things that I could use if I wanted to do that. I don't know. I might give it another shot, but who knows? And a lot of these items are in the debug menu or the show live edit objects menu. I don't know the difference because I have better build by and organized debug and all that stuff by Twisted Mexi. But they're from Willow Creek, so they're base game items. And they look so good. I thought they looked so good. I put also a bunch of like fireflies in the swamp, and there's one alligator. You'll have to find them. They're around somewhere. So the swamp's kind of dangerous, but that's okay. It's a family home too, but maybe it's the family alligator. It's fine. This ends up being I think it's a 2-bedroom, 1-bathroom, but there is a second story that has like a little apothecary room, and you could turn that into another bedroom if you wanted to. That would be ideal. And there's also, the tower is accessible, at least one level of the tower is accessible. I don't think you could turn it into a bedroom, but there is a seance table up there. I had a lot of fun with this. I really did. I don't exactly think that there are fairies that live here. I mean, it could be like a dark fairy, but I think maybe they dabble with the apothecary kinds of things. So maybe they create ailments instead of cure them, you know, that kind of thing. But also this could be ideal for like a spellcaster sim, or really just a sim that's into the supernatural and the paranormal because of the seance table that I mentioned. So I don't know, there's like a lot of different elements to this one, and I really had fun piecing things together. The floor plan was a little bit challenging, so I did do a bit of it off camera just to ensure that I could do it, because I didn't know what to do with this big space. I knew it was going to have to be a combined like kind of kitchen, dining, and living space, but what I ended up doing is, number one, the interior is all purple, which is insane because I don't like purple, but this purple is like really nice. I digress. I ended up creating a little entryway, and in the rounded room ends up being a very small like sitting area. I wouldn't call it a full living room because it isn't, but it's kind of like a little sitting area. And then here in this larger space is the kitchen and dining, because I think it was the only way I could really make it work. I mean, you all could probably come up with a better floor plan than I could. This was just a challenge for me, especially because I knew I wanted access to that second story, and I knew I wanted there to be a ladder to get access to the tower as well. But when I was first doing this, I was trying to make the rounded room into the dining space, but once I did that and tried to place like even a love seat couch in that bigger room to make it a living room, it just was not working for me. I liked how this looked as a dining space, and I kind of wish it had worked, but I ended up swapping that. But I left the footage in so you all could kind of see that process, because sometimes what I do, well, actually, I always do this. I always film what I believe is going to be in a video. I don't just like sit down and film 3 hours and then chop it up to the bits of the build that I want to show you all. I literally only film things that I believe are going to go in the video. So there's a fair amount of cuts in my builds, if you haven't realized that. So I genuinely thought this was actually going to be what the floor plan would end up, but it wasn't. So oh well, but I kept it anyway so you can kind of see the process. And I thought that this swatch of the rug from Enchanted by Nature with the dragon was so perfect. It was so perfect. I really am proud of this one because it's a color scheme I don't like. Even though I know it looks good together, I don't like it. And again, it's very different. A lot of these objects with Enchanted by Nature are very bright and whimsical, but I love the darker stuff. I really do. Like, I love the darker wood tones. I mentioned that in some of the other builds I've done with this pack. And I really wanted to use like the black woods here because I thought they'd be really pretty, and purple just naturally went with it, and it all came together nicely, in my opinion. So I hope you all like it as much as I did. I also use these couches from the Crystal Creations kit. I love them and I don't use them enough, so I use those. I added a little record player in here and then just a coffee table. It's a very simplistic sitting room. There's nothing exciting about this room at all, and I didn't add a TV or anything in this build, so if that is something that you want, you will have to find a spot for it, which shouldn't be too difficult, but I just chose not to add one. And then I, of course, have the dining table that I moved in here. I've got a couple of bookcases. I have a fireplace nestled like kind of not under the stairs, but beside the stairs, I suppose. And I've got like bottles of things. There's the little terrarium. There's the little like cow plant thing. It's just starting to bring in a few more of those like mystical components from like Paranormal Stuff Pack and things like that. I also used a fair amount of the tarot card wall art things from Life and Death because it was just perfect. It really just fit into this theme. And then I just have a couple more armchairs here, just a little sitting area because honestly didn't know what to put there, and it worked. So that's what I did. And I added Gnome Dolph, which you all let me know. I failed to mention this in my other voiceovers. You all let me know it's actually named Gnome Dolph because it is a direct reference to Lord of the Rings. So when I was talking about it in my family Hobbit hole build, and I was like, I put this in there because it looks like it reminds me of Gandalf. It's like, no, it quite literally reminds you of Gandalf because it is, April. Like, it quite literally is. But now we're working on the primary bedroom as well, and I swapped out all the overhead lights to this chandelier from Vampires. Look, to me, chef's kiss. I thought it fit so well. And now this room is kind of an odd shape, but we were able to get a dresser in here. I do have a little bench for your Sims to sit if they want to. And then in that really weird little nook over there, I do add a desk. It was just perfect for it. It was asking for it. This houseplant too, by the way, because I raised it with, what, Alt-9? I really need to like look at my hands when I do that because it's muscle memory. Anyway, that houseplant was raised with Alt-9, so it likely will not work. Just a heads up. But this is where the desk is going to be, just this little tiny nook. Actually made it useful, you know, instead of closing it off and having it be useless. And then the other bedroom's actually for a toddler because I think I've only used the crib that came with this expansion. Yeah, I think it was just the crib. So I made like a nursery before in that family hobbit hole that I built a couple of weeks ago, but I haven't used the bassinet still, but I used the toddler bed in this one. So there's a little toddler room, and I used platforms, and I thought it's really cute. I thought it's really adorable. I do quickly decorate the bathroom. Very simple, very dark, but we have a shower tub combo. We've got the sink and a toilet, all the things that your Sims need in a bathroom. I do wish, because we did get a shower with this pack, but I do wish that we had gotten a shower tub combo because we also got a bathtub. It was like a corner jacuzzi tub, which is nice. I like that we seemed to get very close to complete sets with this expansion. So for example, you know, we got like a shower, a bathtub, a toilet and a sink for the bathroom. And then we got countertops, overhead cabinets, tables and chairs and stuff, but like we didn't get, you know, appliances that match. I don't know. It's just, I know I can't ask for everything, but I love complete sets. It makes it very easy to use them when they are complete. Anyway, this is the toddler room. I did platform it just to change it up a little bit. So where the actual toddler bed is sunken down by 1, I want to say. So it's easy, you know, you don't need stairs for your Sims to be able to access it. The toddlers will just go down that one platform as well. It shouldn't be an issue, though they might need increased movement skill. I didn't think about that. They might actually need increased movement skill to be able to tackle that one quote unquote step. Let me know in the comments because I'm actually not sure. They might still be okay. I'm unsure because I didn't play test it with a toddler, which I should do if I make a toddler room, especially with platforms. Anyway, I tried to decorate it as best I could. It was a very small space, but I think it looked really cute. We've got like the stuffed bat bear kind of toy thing. I have that beautiful mirror from Werewolves, actually. That came in handy too. There's a bookcase. There's the little acorn toy chest from the new expansion, which I forgot about until right this second. And then I just added a couple of different swatches of the rug from Crystal Creations, and there's a little dresser in there. And then up here ends up being the little apothecary room, just because it is, of course, the new skill and object that we got with this pack. So I figured I would add it, but you could, again, change this into a bedroom if you wanted to, or it could be like a creepy attic, or you could remove the seance table, add a couple more chairs, and put it here instead of in the little tower. Because I think in the tower, I want to say I only had 2 chairs because I couldn't fit more than that. It was not possible to do that and have the ladder still be accessible. So you might want to consider that if you want to use the seance table instead of the little apothecary station. That could be beneficial. I don't know. There's also a little love seat up here as well. So maybe one of the Sims can, like if this is for like a couple, like a family with a toddler, maybe while the toddler's napping or something, one of them comes up here and like does their little apothecary things and the other just kind of sits on the little love seat and chats with them, which I thought was cute. And this is where the seance table is. I tried 3 chairs, wasn't gonna work, only kept 2. And actually, now that I think about this though, I hope that it works because I did add the crystal ball, but is the seance itself attached to the seance table or is it attached to the crystal ball? I think it's the crystal ball. I think it should be okay. Ooh, that's something else I need to play test. See, I need to think about some things more. Hopefully everything works out okay. But now this is going to be the backyard. It's not fenced in. Kind of dangerous for a toddler. We don't want them to just like wander into the swamp. Not great. But I do add a swing set back there for when they do age up. And I think there's like a rocking chair on the back porch and maybe a couple other things, but nothing too crazy. Anyway, we're getting close to the end of this build as well, so I hope you all enjoyed this one. I cannot wait to hear your thoughts, and I will catch you next time I post a video, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye!